A British teenager who joined ISIS in Syria is begging the United Kingdom to let her come home. Shamima Begum was one of 3 schoolgirls living in London's Bethnal Green neighborhood who joined the terror group back in 2015. She left London and married an ISIS fighter in Syria. And she recently spoke to Sky News shortly after giving birth to a baby boy in a refugee camp. She says she has no regrets.
I think a lot of people should have sympathy towards me for everything I've been through. You know, when I didn't know what I was getting into when I left, and I just was hoping that maybe for the sake of me and my child, they let me come back. I never did anything dangerous. I never made propaganda. I never encouraged people to come to Syria, so I don't really have proof that I did anything that is dangerous.
Hey guys, and welcome to Mika Reaction Reviews. Reaction review to things on the internet. Same day, same shirt, different video. Again, sorry about the setup. Working on it. I'm in transit. My camera battery is broken. My tripod is broken. So this is what we got. Show must go on. So Shamima is a girl who was 15 years old when she decided to leave, I believe, the UK to go join ISIS. I don't know if we're allowed to say that word on YouTube, but I guess the demonetization will show me whether I can or not. Yeah, she went to join ISIS at 15. Her and a few other girls snuck out in the middle of the night and went to join ISIS, and she was married off to an ISIS soldier. In her own words, at least in the beginning, she said she had a choice of husband, and then years and years later, fast forward a few years, she's begging to come back home. Sounds a little bit familiar, like that basketball player who got arrested and jailed in Russia after bashing America, bashing the crap out of it, all of a sudden begging to come back to the same country she hates. I guess the grass isn't always greener on the other side, especially when you're involved in a terrorist group.
International hunt for 3 young girls believed to be on their way to join ISIS.
At Gatwick, they boarded a Turkish Airlines plane for Istanbul.
British police are out in Turkey trying to find them.
The girls weren't even old enough to drive, but they traveled thousands of miles to Syria and handed themselves over to ISIS.
Everybody take his bag.
We came to the girls' neighborhood in East London to find out what drove them to ISIS. We discovered that they were not so different from other girls in the community. Raised with strict religious values, many women here struggle with their sense of belonging, leaving them vulnerable to radicalization.
She has been trying to make a plea to come home for years now. There was lots of documentaries put out on her, videos put out on her, pieces put out on her, articles put out on her, trying to get her to come home. She's not the only one, by the way. I've seen videos. There's many women who from other countries who decided to join ISIS for some reason. I don't know why, but they decided to join ISIS. Even women who didn't grow up in Islam or Muslim culture, and I'm not saying that Islam has anything to do with ISIS, but I can see why maybe that's a gateway, I don't know. But she's just more high profile of them all, I guess. I don't really know what makes her special, but she had 3 children with this ISIS soldier, and she lost all 3 children. That's really, really sad. But while she had children and after, she's been trying to get home back to the country, even though she joined a ISIS group that probably hates her country and everything it stands for. But anywho, the update to Shamima's saga is that she got denied entry. Not only did she got denied entry back into her country, she got her citizenship stripped away from her.
Moving on now, a British-born woman who became an IS bride in her teen years has lost her appeal over her British citizenship. 24-year-old Shamima Begum went to Syria as a schoolgirl to join the Islamic State, and she was stripped of her citizenship in 2019 on national security grounds after she was found in a detention camp in Syria. Following the collapse of the IS, Begum had appealed that the decision was unlawful, partly because British officials failed to consider whether she was a victim of trafficking, and this argument that was rejected by a lower court in February 2023. A unanimous ruling in the second highest court of the United Kingdom rejected Begum's appeal.
In conclusion, for these reasons, we unanimously dismiss the appeal. It could be argued that the decision in Miss Begum's case was harsh. It could also be argued that Ms. Begum is the author of her own misfortune.
Now, the case of Begum's repatriation has garnered mixed reactions across the nation, some emphasizing that she was merely a 15-year-old child when she went to Syria, while others arguing that she willingly joined the terrorist organization. In 2020, the Court of Appeal had ruled that Begum be allowed to return to Britain to fairly challenge the removal of her citizenship, but the ruling was overturned by the Supreme Court in 2021. While in Syria, Shamima married an ISIS fighter and gave birth to 3 children, all of whom died in infancy. Begum has been in the Al Roj camp since 2019 with thousands of other foreign women and children. Now, Begum's lawyers called on Britain to repatriate her and others who remain in Syria, describing the refusal to do so as disgraceful.
If you've made it this far, can you please like, comment, and subscribe? Please donate to my PayPal so I can get a new camera battery, and you can super thanks. If you super thanks, I will mention your comment in the next video. By the way, the taxpayers of her country that she got the citizenship stripped away is paying and flipping this bill for all her pleas and all her her amendments or whatever, trying to come back. But that's it. She's gonna try to reapply again. She's gonna try to plead her deal again. I think probably for the rest of her life until she accepts that this is just her life. She has to live. She made her bed and she has to lay on it. But this is pretty much it. Now that she doesn't even have the citizenship of, I believe it's the UK, they have really no reasons to hear her out, because it's almost like a foreign immigrant trying to say, can I come back home? And it's not your home anymore. You have no citizenship here. You have no rights to this plea. So my question to you is, do you feel like that is the right decision? Now, I'm in two worlds here. Like, I actually do in some ways feel bad for her, because like 15, you are a kid. Now, it doesn't mean at 15 you have no idea of right from wrong, but you are a kid. You are a baby at 15 years old. To make a decision at 15 and have that cloud over you for the rest of your life seems a little harsh to me. However, the argument of not allowing her back in is, one, that she didn't really start to say she stands against ISIS and denounces ISIS later on. When they first started interviewing her, it seemed like she still was very much in support of them, and she didn't regret her decision of going home. It's just that now she just wants to go home because ISIS is fallen or whatever, right? So it's not until ISIS failed is when she started being like, okay, yeah, I know I denounced them, F them, I regret my decisions. But early on, she didn't seem like that. Well into her 18s and early 20s, people were saying like she was singing a different tune now, but she seemed supportive of this group, and she seemed non-regretful for her decisions until they fail, right? Until the group fail. So that's why people are saying she shouldn't come back, because she's not really remorseful and she is not de-radicalized. People are also saying she's just been there too long to been de-radicalized. To let her back into a country is just too dangerous. It is risking national security, blah, 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 right? And so that's why they say she shouldn't come back. Yes, she made the mistake at 15, but she continued kind of making the mistake years and years and years later by not denouncing them and by not saying she doesn't regret her decision, by gushing over her ISIS soldier husband and just continuing to sort of support it up until now. So that's why people are saying like, no, don't let her come back. She's now saying she was trafficked and she was forced into marriage. I'm not saying that this doesn't happen after the fact that you made your decisions, but initially she said she picked her husband and she chose to go over there on her own. Just saying she's saying these things now as a sympathy plea, basically.
I met her in Raqqa in I think 2015. We got married in Raqqa. We lived in a couple of houses. You know, tried to take care of her as good as possible. But she would basically not go out of the house. She would basically stay in the house. She wasn't really aware of the world around her. Basically, she had nothing to do with the Islamic State. She had never have any direct contact besides her friends with anybody working with the Islamic State besides me. She's a young girl, young, naive girl, who, just like most of them, they fell into the trap of believing their media and their propaganda. I don't see how people can see a young girl like her as a danger.
I don't know. I part of me thinks it's harsh. A part of me feels like at least maybe allow her kids to come back because they're innocent. And all these women who stuck over there, their kids are innocent. And I would be really curious if they did come up with some sort of solution to say, look, we just believe you've been there too long. We don't trust you. We think you've been radicalized. But if we can find a loving family to take your kids in, we will fly your kids over so they can live in the UK or Australia or wherever country you're from so they can have a normal life. I would be curious to see if they would be for that, because
in a sprawling camp of canvas and wire for displaced people in Syria, there is a special section for the members and associates of Islamic State. A camp of the damned, occupied by the women and children of IS fighters. And there are 1,500 people packed inside.
We want to go back. We won't go out from here.
I was met at a padlocked gate by camp residents who were both curious and angry.
I'd like to hear Trinidad's view on what they think about their people bringing here. There's over at least 90 Trinidadian children in Syria. What is Trinidad's view on that? For over 90 kids, they say nothing. Do they care about the people? Are they even concerned? That's it.
Yes, I just want to know if France will take us.
Take you out of the camp?
Yes.
What do you think people in France would say if you returned home? Would you be welcomed, do you think?
No, I think no.
They are the survivors, women and children who've swapped the so-called caliphate for this badly crowded camp. And the conditions here are poor.
No.
I watched as residents begged for food, medicine and assistance in a multitude of different languages.
There is 3 children from South Africa, and the mother is she's mentally sick.
Okay.
We try to take her to the doctor, but they cannot do nothing.